Moving into our next speaker sessions, I'm just going to share the screen. Wow. I'll just start by saying our next speakers I'm introducing Kaizen Lee. Kaizen Lee is a futurist, innovation strategist, and change maker, creating
We've lost your sound, Lisa.
You're muted, Lisa. Sorry.
Oh, Kaizen thrives in contextualizing futuring within complex systems through systematic, speculative, anticipatory, and playful approaches. Kaizen has led on creating shared values in the private, public, and social sectors across dozens of countries and cultures, while weaving fun into her nature of futures literacy and collecting intelligence in diverse communities. Accompanying Kaizen, we have Edmund. Edmund Zhang is a designer with a future-focused approach, thriving on research, strategy, and storytelling. He sees the value of design in uncovering and activating opportunities in often overlooked areas. He currently works at Next of Kin Creatives, an innovation design studio that uses a twin approach of design fiction and creative thinking to create compelling visions of the future that inspire and inform. And so with that being said, I want to pass it over to our new speakers, session 2. We welcome you to have your cameras on, but we understand that maybe that's not possible for you today, and that's okay. We are Teach the Future, a global nonprofit working to include futures literacy in the school curriculum. And remember, we are live on YouTube. This session is hosted by Teach the Future and Young Voices Network in partnership with the Millennial Project. Without further ado, our presenters.
Hi, hello, I'm Edmund, and today I will be going through a sharing together with Kaizen, who is here with me today. But I think first and foremost, we just want to thank all of you for spending your time, your 1 hour with us. And this session will be starting with 2 case studies around aging for the future, followed up by a co-creation workshop that Kaizen will be leading. So I think without any further ado, I will just start off my presentation, and then afterwards, Kaizen will take the lead.
Thank you, Edmund. Before you start, I just want to quickly ask if anybody want to share where you're joining from. You can put it in the chat. But also thank you, Lisa, for introduction. We grateful for the Millennium Project, Teach the Future, and the Young Voices Network for having us. But with that being said, the floor is yours, Edmund.
You have the screen for a second. Yeah, let me know if you guys can see my screen. If not, I will just continue. Yeah, so
We can see.
yeah, great. Okay, so I'm Edmund. So I'm part of a local Singaporean innovation design consultancy called Next of Kin Creatives. We basically use design fiction and creative thinking to push boundaries and to shape the future. So just a general background, right? We tap on different disciplines and skill sets to help clients reframe and solve their problems, ranging from graphic design, product design, research to motion design. And our team is currently around 20 men strong, and we have different offices, not just in Singapore, but also in Taipei and Shanghai. So yeah, you can spot me on the top row. Yeah, that's me right there. So I'm currently working on experience design projects for clients. And some of the clients that we have worked with from different industries, and some awards that we have garnered over the past 10 years. So I think in a nutshell, clients find us to help them to reframe challenging problems and to come up with new innovation opportunities. But I think what we really do here is to imagine and prototype futures through futures thinking and our interdisciplinary design competencies. So just to caveat that, we think that futures thinking is really not about predicting the future, but so it's not about, consulting your local gods and deities, looking at horoscopes, subscribing to some advice from sages to think about what the future can be like. It's not about crystal ball gazing, but it's really about a way to diverge opportunities and possibilities through an informed view of what is currently happening, current trends, current signals, to imagine the possibilities of what these signals might result as a consequence. So I think many of us are very familiar with design thinking, where it's often a process of diverging and then converging. So it's often quite user-led. It's starting from a pain point, a problem, or a certain user need. But I think where futures thinking is different and is often more imagination focused. You are starting from what you see that's happening currently around the world, and you are forecasting, you're imagining what could be some potential scenarios, problems, consequences of such scenarios happening. So just a quick little like thought experiment, right? Like, where do you see yourself in 20 years? I'm sure many of y'all, when y'all go for job interviews or like at icebreaker events, when they ask you, hey, like, where do you see yourself in from five years from now, 10 years from now? I think many of us often struggle to answer that question, right? I think the main crux is that it's often very, very difficult to imagine how your future will play out 2 years, 3 years, let alone 10, 20 years. But I think what we are trying to do, at least for this session, is trying to take a step at what the future can be, at least for the context of aging, through two case studies that we have done. So the very first case study is about imagining artifacts for a world without aging. And the second one is trying to take on the lens of imagining or innovating heritage for the future. Yeah, so the very first project or case study that I'm going to share about is it's a speculative article piece that NOK was part of. We created a series of articles on LinkedIn and Medium, trying to imagine what the world would look like if age was just a number. So we were kind of inspired by the recent or the ongoing trend or the growing industry around healthcare and how certain individuals, in this case, Joel Snape, this Silicon Valley billionaire, is taking extreme efforts to biohack his life. So it's really trying to extrapolate what this current trend of anti-aging measures can be if taken to the extreme. And I think since the start of civilization, mankind's pursuit of eternal youth is ever present, and you can really see it in the rise of global health and wellness industries everywhere. So I think from that starting point, we went to imagine, hey, like, how will people live if age is just a number? So we created this persona, Nova, and we started to ideate different interactions or behaviors that she will take in this world, and what are some of the potential consequences and ideas that might stem out of this imagined future scenario. So I think some key questions that we asked ourselves was that how would our perception of beauty change if the prime ages of youth shifted from 45 to 70, right? And then how would some objects or artifacts in this world reflect that? So we came up with 3 different artifacts to communicate the world that we are building for Nova. And the very first that we were thinking about was, hey, like in the future, if people are living longer, would that also mean that there will be a need to control the population growth. And by that, does that also mean that instead of having an actual physical baby, could you have the experience of having a virtual one? And we thought of this pregnancy kit that is designed to simulate real pregnancies, even though the baby is born virtually. So I think a fun fact for this exercise was that we also leveraged on modern AI tools such as Midjourney and DALL-E, as well as ChatGPT to help us imagine and visualize some of these ideas. So kind of in a way, it's also using potential future tools to generate content and thought provocations. So how it works is by wearing on this pregnancy kit, you get to experience the different sensations as you will have when undergoing an actual pregnancy. So this includes sensations like pain, the heartbeat of the child, and even the movements of the baby within. And after the baby is born, you can also pass on certain traits into this baby avatar. Yeah, so the next artifact that we imagined was the idea of a makeup printer. So in a world where the aging process ceases, could you enhance your beauty beyond just physical makeup to actually modifying your face itself? And we leveraged on the current developments of 3D printing technology. So like tapping on that to imagine if we can directly print additive materials onto the skin to apply customized printed features or makeup directly to your face. So the idea is that you can choose from a selection of different facial features and makeup, and once you are done, the machine will directly apply it onto the face and using skin curing technology to set into place. And the last artifact that we have is the idea of Nespresso, but instead of drinking a coffee, you take a shot of elixir, like an elixir of nanobots. So these nanobots help to perform certain functions like repairing and fighting any ailments that you have in your body. So yeah, I mean, the idea is really taking this shot each day before your bedtime, and while you sleep, these machines will work in your body to repair, to restore, and to combat any viruses and microorganisms, cancer cells, while you're resting. Yeah, so based on these three artifacts, we have actually created a series of articles. If you are curious, feel free to take a look on Medium or on our LinkedIn at Next of Kin Creatives, where we will share more in-depth processes of how we arrived at this persona and these artifacts. Yeah, so feel free to check it out. And our next case study that I wanted to share is slightly different. So what you saw earlier was more speculative. This was a project that was recently piloted and launched with seniors in Singapore. So the whole premise is to see how we can innovate local heritage and traditions for future senior active aging programs. And this was stamped out of rising or an increasing spending in healthcare and in healthcare expenses, especially in Singapore, where our population is rapidly aging. And one area where Singapore is looking at is building or fostering active aging centers, whereby there are areas where seniors can come together to take part in activities and socialize amongst themselves. And I think one key problem that these centers face is they often find it very hard to attract male seniors. And I think the landscape currently at these centers are that they host activities ranging from chair exercises, chair Zumba exercises, karaoke sessions, or they'll play card games such as bingo. And I think such activities often draw a wide or a large crowd of female seniors, but it's easy to see why male seniors may not be so interested to participate. So I think the bigger agenda for the project is how can we tap on familiar cultural assets as a potential solution for the national aging issue, and in a very broad or macro sense to help alleviate stress on Singapore's medical system. So just to give you a general background of what this image is this is called lion dance. So this is a predominantly Asian performance where it's helmed by a performer that controls the lion head that you see at the front, and the rear is maneuvered by another performer. So this activity involves a lot of coordination and dexterity because the rear performer has to match the actions of the performer at the front. If not, they will both fall. So this is often practiced during festive occasions, especially during Chinese New Year, where you will see such lions out and about in the streets and performing for the public. So we wanted to use this very familiar activity that seniors grew up watching since young, and think about how could we readapt it so that seniors could now not be just participants, not be just viewers, but active participants of this particular traditional art. So there were three key components that we were designing around to improve the user experience and the comfort of undergoing this activity. Yeah, so the key shift is really to move it from a challenging and demanding activity to a more senior-friendly and inviting experience so that it could be adopted as a senior activity. So these were our three starting points that our team were working with. And we explored different interventions using things like elastic bands and clips and everyday materials to quickly hack different prototypes to see how we can elevate the stress and the comfort level for seniors. So we even incorporated things like 3D printing, and we designed different handles and mechanisms to see how the lion head, in this case, can be controlled more efficiently. So so I think the bigger problem that we are trying to solve here is because for traditional lion head, it's often controlled by a centralized string in the middle, where you have to pull that single string to control the ears and the eyes. So I think over here we're really thinking, hey, can we actually have a centralized say handle whereby it allows you to more conveniently maneuver the lion head. And yeah, we went through many rounds of prototyping, and eventually we took some of these ideas to test with the seniors and also with the wellness coach that was present to see how we can incorporate some of these exercises that they are currently doing into this lion dance activity. And I think we are really heartened to hear a lot of positive feedback from the seniors. I think one very common feedback was that being able to don the lion dance head really triggered a lot of memories for them, because when they were young, they were the ones who will stand aside and touch the lion head, but they would never had a chance to be inside the lion head. So we thought that this was really like great feedback for us to keep continuing and see how we can improve the experience for them eventually. So all in all, we designed a series of interventions on different parts of the lion dance performance to ease the user experience. So what you see here is a centralized pulley system and a handle which they can conveniently press and maneuver to easily control the ears and the eyes of the lion head with very little effort. We also design things like cymbal mufflers so that when they are practicing the cymbal playing, that we can reduce interference and the noise levels of the residents nearby. The reason being that most of these active aging centers, they are situated in heartland areas where, or they will often be part of residential areas. So we were also very careful to make sure that when they are actually playing and practicing, they don't cause much noise interference with people who are living around the area. Yep, so this project was a joint collaboration between Next of Kin Creatives and also with this 184-year-old Chinese clan called Gongzhao Weikun, where we tapped on their expertise to see how we can incorporate the traditions of lion dance without diluting it too much. So the lady that you see wearing green, she is the heritage consultant from the clan. And I think one very interesting thing is this clan has some sort of direct lineage to famed martial artist Wang Fei Hong. So the senior that you see seated on a wheelchair in the center, he is the third generation disciple of Wang Fei Hong, and Lin on the left is the fifth generation. So they have been doing lion dance for many, many years, and we were very mindful to always be in constant conversation with them to see how much should we adapt the lion dance without losing tradition. So as you can see, the reimagined lion dance is held by a senior seated on a wheelchair and supported by a standing senior or youth behind. And we sought to integrate martial arts and even current chair exercises that the seniors are doing into this whole choreography, so that as they go along this program, they also get to train on their upper body strength, their grip strength in preparation for the final lion dance performance. And we were very, very happy to have a pilot with one of the active aging centers in Singapore. So we launched the program just end of last year, and we worked with around 25 participating seniors, including seniors from other ethnicities such as Malay, Indian seniors, to be part of this program. And it was really a very progressive program session where the seniors started off with working with stress balls to hula hoops to weighted hula hoops and eventually donning on the lion head itself for the final performance. So here are some photos of what happened during the event showcase, and you can see how this activity was able to offer a platform for seniors of different mobility and different mobility challenges to even to play a part in this whole performance. So on the top left image, you can see seniors who might be weaker in their body strength, but still being able to contribute by playing the cymbals while seated. And we have some testimonials from the seniors who went through the program. I think one surprising one that we gathered was from Auntie Teo from the bottom right, where she shared with us when she told her daughter that she was going to be part of a lion dance troupe. Her daughter didn't believe her and asked her, "Hey, are you serious, mom? Are you serious that you're going to be part of this?" But I think after seeing her go through the final the full performance, I'm sure she will have a different thought now. Yeah, and we also featured in different local and international media. And yeah, so this project is still ongoing, and currently we are trying to work with more active aging centers as well as to find more funding support to take this further. So I'll be very happy if you guys have any suggestions or any comments on what kind of heritage asset do you think would be appropriate for seniors of your country or where you are from? Yeah, so that we can also be inspired on how local heritage assets can be adapted for seniors. So I think all in all, the value of futures thinking is to imagine situations that don't yet exist and to challenge the present assumptions of the future so that we can anticipate and identify opportunities to create radical innovation. And I think from the two case studies that I've shared, the point is that oftentimes when we think about futures, it can stem from a fear-based or an optimism-based point of view, right? So I think as we go about imagining and going through futures thinking, it's also quite imperative to think about what are the steps that we can do to move away from such worst case scenarios, and what are the steps that we can do instead to realize these ideal futures. And I mean, this is a very cliche quote, but I think the best way to create the future is to create it. So let's, like, beyond just speculating and imagining, what are the next few steps that we can set for ourselves to move and to shape the future into one that we all desire? Yep, so before I end off, work with us at NOK if you have any ideas or problems that need solving for today so that we can innovate for tomorrow. And with that, I will end my sharing, and I will give I will set aside some time to open up the floor for any questions and answers.
Thank you, Edmond. I saw like great comment from the chat, and I just want to start off by saying that it's so beautiful to hear from you about the depth of the projects. It really speaks to my heart how you and the team are so like into integrating this cultures and history into this building and creation of the present and the future, and how it's so heartfelt to hear about how the seniors giving great feedback on all of those prototypes, and it seems like a good start of the intergenerational connections. And yeah, with that, just curious what questions or comments everyone has.
I have a question about what do you learn from doing this project? Right. Okay, so I think if I'm correct, Lisa, I think you were asking about the second project regarding lion dance, right? Okay, I think John also asked a similar question. Hi, Edmund, what was the greatest challenge in designing the future of senior empowered lion dance performance with the seniors, right? Okay, so I think maybe I can answer these two questions at the same time. Yeah, I think so this project took us around a year from the conception of the idea all the way to the final performance showcase. I think the first half of the project, we were in a way kind of like designing for ourselves, because we were prototyping ideas and then we were the ones who tested the prototypes to see whether they worked. And I think it was really a very different story once we got down to the active aging centers and tested those ideas and prototypes with the seniors themselves. And you'll be very surprised to also hear that sometimes a lot of their considerations were really not about whether the lion head is comfortable, whether it's too heavy, but just having the opportunity, or they were just expressing whether they they like how line dance make them feel like they are young again, and they would love to, eventually be part of the cymbal playing or the music performances. So I think that really kind of shifted our focus a little bit. So I think at the start we were really focused on how can we reduce the ergonomics, the weight, the comfort of the lion head. But I think towards the end, we start to realize that, hey, like it can just be as simple as uh, offering seniors of different physical challenges and mobility issues their own unique ways to shine through this program, be it being able to play the cymbal if you are not able enough to be part of the line dance performance. Could you just contribute in that way? For those who are not so musically inclined, could they just be around to clap to clap to the rhythm of the performance? So I think that was really the bigger um, opportunity or the bigger uh, picture that we are trying to that we are really trying to offer to the seniors. I think yeah, I think for seniors having a chance to also build their confidence in performing through this program was a huge thing for them. So many of them never thought that at 70, 80 years old, they will have an opportunity to perform to the public. So I think this particular program really offered them this chance to contribute something of value to the world and to perform for their children, for their grandchildren. I think that those were some of the more intangible benefits that we really wanted to that actually that we actually found out or like we actually distilled through the program. Right, yeah. So I think Lisa also asked that if we could create volunteer opportunities for youth to perform. Yeah, I mean certainly, right, because we were also thinking of whether we could have more intergenerational performances between the elderly, between the seniors and the youth. So for example, could the lion head be helmed by a senior, a seated senior, while the back could be supported by a youth, right? And then what if the youth could also play an active part in teaching and yeah, and kind of supporting these seniors as they go through the entire program. So definitely we are also thinking about how we can bring in youths and uh, even youth trainers to be a very integral part of this line dance program. For the speculative projects, were there levels of discomfort in terms of ethics or values, say for pregnancies or 3D printed faces? If so, how did you and your team navigate these issues? Yeah, I think this is a really great question. I mean, if we applied the futures will like the map of consequences even like further and further, right? I think at some point some of these artifacts that we're proposing will definitely have its limitations and its problems. So I think all in all this exercise we were just stopping short of that phase. And our output was really thinking about what will be some of the more provocative uh, experiences and objects that would come up in this world. And I think if some of these artifacts and objects generate some kind of discomfort into you, some fears in you, I think that's also what we want to achieve, right? Like, would you want to live in such a future whereby instead of opting for a physical baby, you rather go for a virtual one because it is as real as a physical one? Would you rather have your face printed and yeah, like what would that scenario look like for you? So I think the artifacts also allowed us to very visually present to you such emotions and such attitudes. And I think it's up to you to see how then do you want to interpret such consequences if the world like this were to happen? Yeah, I think I'll take a last question before I pass the time to Kai-Sing. So I think Scott over here asked, hey, I applaud your effort to bridge generations, and in doing so, it appears that you are bridging different ways of thinking. How has working between designers and futures thinkers, do you find they can have good chemistry? How can we improve all of this working? Yeah, I think that's a great question, right? Like, I think to the point about the distinction between design thinking and futures thinking. So for us, at our current company, none of us has been exposed to futures thinking beforehand. So the story was that one of our colleagues, I think a few of them, they went for this workshop on futures thinking. And when they came back, they were so inspired by some of the tools that they've learned that we held an internal workshop for the whole company. So we all went through these exercises. And I think that also informed us on the articles that on the very first case study that you saw earlier. I think for me personally, design thinking and futures thinking can go hand in hand. Because one is about thinking about what can you solve at the present moment, while the other is also the other is thinking about how can your current solution eventually influence or impact the world in one way or another. So I feel like they can actually coexist, and in that sense, futures thinking can also be a great tool for you to ideate, beyond just your conventional problem solving for user needs. It can help you to expand and widen your scope of imagination and ideation to create potentially more unexpected but interesting outcomes. So yeah, I do think that there's some synergy between these two. Okay, I'll just take a last question from Bisia, if I pronounce it correctly. You are fortunate to operate out of Singapore. How does the government and the business community contribute to your creative ecosystem? I might not be the best person to answer this. Yeah, but I think at least in Singapore, the government has been spending quite a lot of resources in developing the design industry here. So we have a government run kind of like a organization called Design Singapore. So it has some relation to the economic division of our government, where they see design as a economic driver to progress Singapore's innovation and and uh, and thinking beyond its shores. So I do think that the government has been very, very supportive in offering scholarships, support, grants, events, resources in this area. Yeah, and I'm very fortunate to be part of this support system as well. All right, I think that will be the end of the Q&A. And I think before I hand off to Kai-Sing for the co-creation workshop, I would just want to kind of flash, some initial questions in preparation for the workshop earlier. So I think just two starting points, right? What comes to your mind when you think of aging, and do you fear or look forward to it? So without any further ado, I will pass the time to my co-host, Kai-Sing.
Thank you, Edmond, for such a beautiful, inspiring presentation of how a future-oriented design can activate our imagination, of how we can age well together as a community. And yeah, but if you just join, I'm Kai-Sing, and one of my favorite quote is future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. So with that passion about how perspectives of futures are shaped both individually and within communities, I do innovation design strategy and strategic foresight, advocating for futures literacy here and there. And I'm fortunate to do strategy and design futures with systemic but also fun gamified approaches in Europe, where I'm joining from now from Sarajevo. And also I do strategy and teach in China and do research and development on emerging technologies for good in the States. So I'm so excited to flex our future thinking muscle to help you, jumpstart this whole inspiring world future state. So this session is part of a series of workshops we develop. So maybe I can share my whiteboard. And actually, everybody should be able to also add it there. Let's see. Open board. Okay. All right. So can everybody go into the board? Oh, I saw some cursors there. Okay. Just give everybody some time to get in. Isn't it cool that this a built-in features for us co-creating together? Yeah, so we're just gonna have a really quick jam of what is going about here. This is called Beyond the Tick-Tock. So usually, when we think about aging is time going forwards. But I would start off by sharing one of my personal thoughts from when I was a kid. So it's just an appetizer. As a kid, I had always thought, okay, what if we age backwards? So the age to explore this possibility so much that I celebrated my birthday with friends from age 92 to 90 to 86 instead of going forward. So if you can sort of reimagine how this aging means to yourself, how this aging means for you and your family, but also your communities together. So with that being said, we have a lot of different figures. On the top, I saw there are already people starting to build in. So we'll think about, age in the next 20 years. What are the feelings that is in your heart you would like to, portray using an emoji? And what is that one word or phrase that comes to your mind first when you think about that feeling built into aging? Yeah, it's harder for us to picture us in 20 years, of course, but that feeling, what you're feeling now, is real there. So I invite everyone to take a second to think about that and starting to move around. It's so beautiful. I saw some wondering there and some cheering, some mind-blowing, also some aliens, like a diversified range of feelings there. Yeah, also don't forget to put your name down there. Yeah, as people are creating there, I'm gonna read out loud a little bit, or maybe someone, if you want to share using a microphone, you're very welcome. I saw Scott, you turn on your camera. So would you like to share a little bit? Okay, I think there are more coming along. Yeah, it's a good practice we often use to, start out and warm up and get you future thinking muscles there by sort of like have this introspection of own feelings about future. Because people could have really different like attitude to our futures, partially depending on some of your past memories. If it's sort of like traumatic or there's some, loop that hasn't closed there. There's a chance, like based on different cognitive science and neuroscience studies, it's possible that you feel more pessimistic about futures. So there's already some bias here because a lot of us are already like interested or like working in the futures field. So actually, many of us tend to be more optimistic, but it's so interesting to see. Yeah, I saw like some really happy face, some wondering face, some mind-blowing face. I haven't seen like a really positive, like really negative one, which is interesting. All right, so I saw we already have some like little humans there, but if you wanted to keep working on that, you're very welcome to do so. So let's get into the part downward. So here you can see, oops, okay, I'm back to the whiteboard. Okay, here you can see there are different types there. And there's like 4 color blocks there. So I will start off by inviting everyone going into one of the red hats of any hive there and duplicate your emoji to the side of the red hat. So like what I do here, I copy this emoji and put it by the number 1 red hat here. So it's sort of like you're marking your territory for this round. Yeah, just a reminder, for each hive, like the 4-color hive, we only have like 1 emoji by the side of red one for this round, and we'll be continue with others for next round. So maybe this one, put it on top of red here. Okay, I think we have several of them, which is great. And what you will be doing now is, you see like it's a rat, and then we gonna unreveal what is going on here. So I can comment pen. Okay, all eyes on me. So you will be seeing my screen, saying that okay, for the first block, you will be writing like a situation where you will be in 20 years. So the situation could be, of course, like more mundane, like on a date, or it could be something not that common nowadays, like in air or outer space traffic, but it could be also very relational, like when programming a virtual version of your family member. So whatever you like, please think about like what situation you wanted to put here. And we have maybe 20 seconds here. Yeah, so the Hive 1 is already done. Congrats. Boldly augmented with more time for meditation. Oh, I love it. Is this hybrid reality you're picturing? Others are kicking in as well. For who is song number 1 again? You can put your emoji on the top of the red hat if you like. It will be helpful for our like rounds ahead. Okay, I'm reading some of the mess. People are working on that. Take your morning photosynthesis in a can. Oh, I love that. It reminds me of this symbiotic futures of us really connected to the matter of Earth, but also like the nature of organism. Let's see. I also saw debating accepting an invitation to a conference on the moon. Lovely. So I saw you're hesitating there, right? And I can see the connection between your feelings, your emoji, and your situation. Lovely. So cool. Let's move on to the next round. So everybody, you can add like a number to your current number. For example, if you are on 6 and you saw there is something written on 7, you can move on to the 7. That will be your new hive for this round. And if you are on, let's see, 4, and you can move on to 6 because 5 is like a blank. So you just need to like ignore that. That's fine. And then so everybody found your new hive. Yes, if you already find a new hive, the next prompt would be on the yellow part on the left of this little hive person. So now write a person. So it could be a professional and any character in your life, either from the mundane world or fiction work. Of course, it could be like something common nowadays, like government representation, or like my grandma, like my kid, or like a prophet, or someone who is likely to be present like in 20 years, but now. So it really depends on your imagination and your intention and vision about who you want to bring close to you. I saw, a robo nurse helping children with mental wellness. Very like hands-on there. And it reminds me of a book I recently read called Matters of Care, which I would recommend to everybody, like caring about the ontological issues of care in general. And sometimes it's for more than human, like this robo nurse our friend is writing about, but it's of course also innate in our Homo ludens. I also saw a personal chef, a hologram of Taylor Swift serenading our seniors. I love it. With space travel affordable, the masses. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you're still working on that. Nice. Okay. Last 10 seconds. We need to go to another round. Oh, okay. with space travel affordable to masses, I can finally buy an economy ticket. Really down to earth now, and really echoes with me about that future is not evenly distributed, but it will be more equitable in this scenario you're building. Awesome. So next round, you're moving to like the next number that's close to you. You +1 or +2 or 3. If you got your next hive, the prompt will be, please write an object or something non-human. So it could be something, you know, like just tangible, or it could be something holy, something such as an organism, an animal, or like a plant, whatever you want. Okay. We're running out of time, so we'll be wrapping up this round for next 15 seconds. I already saw a teapot that makes tea instantly. I love it. It's really convenient for someone who loves tea like me. Just in a blank. And I saw a photosynthesis skin, lovely. A house plant that also advises what I post on social media. Great. You got that deep connections and symbiotic bit there. All right, so moving on to our last round. Everyone, please go to the next hive close to you. So the last one would be an event, a pivotal event. So it could be either good or bad, can be a major event like a catastrophe or a mundane event that plays an important role in this future scenario that you are building. Do we have anyone working on number 3? Also, number 8 is soon to be finished. And it's gonna be a complete hive body. Nice, I saw green tech is now going beyond skin deep and into our cells. And Earth and Mars is no longer habitable due to overexploitation. And afternoon tea with neighbors. Nice. So everybody, you can go back to the first hive you started to wrote, and I hope you could we don't have much time left here, but I hope you could re-enter this board and then think about okay, this is a co-building like little hive by everybody. What are some like takeaways from here? Was it a lot of randomness there? Is there a lot of you know, interesting combination of positive and negative things there? Or is there both predetermined elements, but also some critical uncertainties there? They are all sort of drivers of change. It could be a leadership of the person you wrote. It could be a movement or development of something like a tech. And it could be driven by something or someone you haven't noticed to be important. But we're almost out of time. Anybody want to have like last word of sharing what you feel about this short jam? Please unmute. We'd love to hear your voices.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kaizen and Edmund, for this interactive session. I think our audience likes to play around with this Miro TikTok world. I think it was a good tool too to share We really appreciate it. Thank you both for sharing on World Futures Day. And we can carry the conversation on Discord. We can meet. I'll put a plug into the chat box.